This is Lee Ridley. I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
And welcome once again to the Iron Hour podcast. We're 2 people down today. Becky is, well, I think she's the Kenny Milne of the podcast. We announced the signing to a fanfare. She's yet to appear, I think, Marco.
She's got an appearance, hasn't she?
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 before she got the old groin strain. I don't know what Gareth's doing, probably honking his horn or something.
My favourite Kenny Milne bit was when he was announced as a Scunthorpe player. I believe said that we were big enough to play in the Premier League. That's the kind of ambition I want.
A crackhead as well. Right, so I'm joined today by 2 of my usual. I've got Marco Pulliga. How you doing, bud?
Good evening. Hello, chaps. Hope we're all well.
Oh, good. And Max Bell, published author, everyone's favourite.
I'm a bit jealous for the people watching on YouTube. They've maybe seen Marco's shirt. He's showing off. He's flaunting. Yeah, look at that. The 4 stars. And Barron is England top. We've got 1. You can't see it.
That's like sums England up as a nation, doesn't it? We've got 1 star, which we're like ridiculously proud of. You can't even see it. We couldn't even get that right.
No, I think it's cool. You don't need to flex. But to be fair, this shirt looks like a slice of blue Stilton cheese. So actually, yeah, that's a good shout. I like that. I can see that.
Coming up on today's episode, we review the 2 fixtures against Newcastle Town. We visit our usual Spy in the Camp segment. This week, welcoming BBC Radio York commentator Andy Atkinson and Scarborough fan Lias. And of course, we preview the upcoming fixture against Scarborough. And Marco gives us the usual FPL segment. Does he? Maybe. Who knows? And we also have our hero idiot moment of the week.
He does. I can confirm. Marco does do that. So Marco now speaks about himself in the 3rd person.
It's sophisticated like that. So we needed 2 bites at the cherry to get past Newcastle Town. The first game, less than convincing. And the second game, a lot more than convincing. Marco, how did you see the first one?
I wasn't there, so I just have to go on highlights and obviously the Twitter feed.
How did you see it? On my phone?
Yeah, literally. But yeah, no, obviously, what we said, it won't have been as easy. I think Gareth said it's going to be a tough game. We've got to play to their conditions and we're going to dig in, and I think that's exactly what we got. Fortunately, Nicholson popped up at the end of the game to earn as a replay. But look, teams better than us have gone to lower teams than that, and they have lost. They're not as straightforward as you think those games. So to get them back to Glenford Park, obviously we're going to talk about that, but it was, look, we did what we needed to do. Ideally, we wouldn't have had the second leg, but it was good to see that Scarborough had the same problems, and they had to play Tuesday as well.
The thing is, Max, if we'd have done this podcast straight after Saturday's game, there'd probably be a different vibe. So I don't really want to whitewash it. We have to talk about the pretty poor performance that was Saturday's game.
Yeah, and I think the stats speak for themselves in terms of that. No shots on target in the first half. We clearly got sucked into going a little bit long, not trying to play the quicker ball on the ground kind of football that we did actually play quite successfully on Tuesday night, particularly in the second half. Look, it's a learning lesson. I did approve of Butler's team selection. I know some people at the time criticised it for the number of changes that he made, but I thought from a rotation point of view, the players who were selected were still good enough to go down to Staffordshire and win that game. And look, in the end, over the course of the 90 minutes, you play some cup games and you see the big club absolutely, batter, in inverted commas, the little club. Keeper has a great game. Maybe they're on the wrong end of a couple of refereeing decisions. They just can't score. They have goals disallowed, whatever it might be. That wasn't us at Newcastle. Over the course of the 90 minutes, I thought a draw probably was the right result. And I think financially, Newcastle would have been very pleased with that. You could see at the end of the game how they were prepared to take the replay. And I don't blame them one bit. You've got no right to win football matches, no matter what side you put out. And they doing that replay. And as Marco said, I'm sure we'll come on to discuss Tuesday as well.
You know, Marco, I think Butler said in his post-match interview that he'd learned a lot about his squad. I don't think it was all good lessons. I think for me it highlighted the gap between our first team and our second team.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was quite disappointing in one way because, I mean, throughout the season, we've been saying how much depth we have and how we've got players that can come in. But I think that Saturday maybe showed that we maybe don't have as much. Well, we do have the depth, but it's maybe not as quality as we thought it was originally. Um, Especially up in the forward areas. I mean, Fishburne obviously got dropped for Tuesday. We went with Roberts playing that more forward role, which must be quite disheartening if you Fishburne. Again, Rowley, by all accounts, sounded like he had a good game on Tuesday. Like you said, that depth aspect. I think, like I said, I think Butler's still learning. He's learning a lot about the squad. And like I say, you see it a lot on sort of football when you're watching on telly, seeing those players knocking on the door. I don't think we did enough on that Saturday. So, like you said, if we'd have done this straight after, it would have been a very different tone. It's all right talking about it now after we've just beaten 5-0. But if
he spoiled the result. What a spoiler!
Yeah, anybody listening, I am sorry, but like I say, if we'd have done this on Sunday, we were very disappointed. It's you want to be going and beating them teams, but look, it's all swings and roundabouts.
You know what, Marco? I'm not gonna lie. There's the tiny little demon inside of me that doesn't mind us not winning a game just so I can see Twitter go into a meltdown.
That is a big demon. But look, that is not just us. I know Gareth had us as his idiots last week, but it isn't just us. Like Max said, Twitter gives you a platform to vent those feelings. 20, 30 years ago, it would have just been shouting at them at Glanford Park. Now you've got your chance to express yourself. And look, people are going to be disappointed if you lose. It's and everyone's got the right to be disappointed. But yes, Saturday was really, really not concerning. I think it's maybe just a good kick. And look, but Butler's not daft. I feel like he'll have it ready to go for this weekend.
And moving on to Tuesday, then I think you and I, Marco, we're both the victims of catfishing. We've tuned into Gareth's vlog.
Hang on. Where's this going?
Well, we've tuned into Gareth's vlog on Wednesday morning. And I could just see like a collective groan from some really old angry men watching Gareth's vlog, expecting to see Gareth when they get Max Bell.
I think the groans are more likely to be from the female population, who like watching Gareth for a bit of eye candy, and then suddenly all they've got is my voice because I didn't really like. Didn't show them. I knew what was coming.
Yeah, brother. I normally skip this bit.
So what, the goal highlights were incredible.
Yeah. Oh, some serious celebrations.
Right, so couple of things. I've got one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you had 5 goals, mate.
Doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. So for anybody who would just watch it and not listen to it, we won 1-0. Still in the next round, baby. But also, it's harder than it looks. Gareth must just have his phone just constantly there for the whole 90 minutes. It's a skill that anybody who thinks that what Gareth does is easy should give it a go themselves, and hopefully they'll do slightly better than I did.
Right, serious stuff then, Max. 2 goals for Roberts, 2 goals for Barrows, a bit of a surprise, and another goal for Beeston so far this season. What did you learn on Tuesday night?
I learned that vlogging's harder than it looks. I thought it was systems wise in terms of how we settled for the wing backs. Probably the biggest vindication of that. You mentioned that Barrows coming on the score sheet twice was a bit of a surprise. But when they were playing the big switch balls, when they were trying to create the spaces on the overlap, when you're trying to have a couple of runners to the back post, going forward, the wing backs become really important. I think there have been questions as to whether or not Barrows really does suit that role. And look, you know, an FA Cup second qualifying round replay is not going to solely answer those questions. But it was a good performance. He would have been one of my 2 or 3 nominations for man of the match. Well, Barrows played well. I know they took him off relatively early-ish in the second half, but I thought Alfie Beeston played well. As I said when I was covering for Gareth's vlog, as apparently he had to work, that I thought he played well. I thought he pressed, and then when they did take him off, I thought the game was won by that point, and they were resting him for Scarborough this coming Saturday. So, look, they got the job done. It was a bit of a weird vibe for any game that's organised at 3 days' notice, and there's only literally a handful of away fans, but it was a good marker, and I think it comes back to what Marco said earlier as well in terms of actually having then won so convincingly on Tuesday. It maybe makes Saturday a good thing, bit of a kick up the arse, but we're not eliminated, but shows us that we can't go to places and expect to win by right. As a famous man and a very wise man once said, you've got to effing die to get 3 points. And I know it's the cup and it's not quite 3 points, but I think the same logic still applies.
And Marco, Whitehall missed out on Tuesday for a groin strain. He's been reported as being 50-50 ahead of this Saturday's game, which interestingly comes from the interview with Andy Butler, which came out today. Did you see that one?
I did, yeah.
Where he says, yeah, no injury concerns, and then goes to list 4 injury concerns. So Whitehall's 50-50 going into the weekend. He obviously missed out on Tuesday. I mean, we spoke about him at length on this podcast. It'd be a huge loss, wouldn't it?
I think it's pivotal to how Butler and his system plays. Like I said earlier, I think Tuesday showed that he doesn't fancy Fishburne in that role to sort of lead the line. Therefore, if Whitehall's not playing, I think we can maybe expect to see a similar shape and a similar formation to what we saw on Tuesday night, maybe at Scarborough, if that's something we've been working on through the week. Look, if Whitehall's 70, 80, 90% fit, I think he has to start. And then we'll see what impact we've got off the bench. But yeah, against Scarborough, I think he's one of our most key players and he's key to how we play.
Speaking of Scarborough, we move on now to our next segment. Well, Lion fans, the Spy in the Camp section kicks off this week with a very special guest and a friend of mine, actually. It's BBC Radio York commentator and the second best boxing MC in Yorkshire by the name of Andy. Mr. Andy Atkinson, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, Barra. How are you? Are you all right?
I'm good. What do you think of the introduction?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
That's all right.
I've got no problem with that. I don't mind being second best.
Oh, no. I said to my missus once, I was like, I'm not even the best MC in Yorkshire with the name Andy. Like, I'm really struggling at the minute. But, right, so but you're here today. We're not talking about boxing. We're talking about the upcoming fixture between Scarborough Athletic and Scunthorpe United. Now, a bit of a man on the inside. You've commentated on a few games for Scarborough this season. How have they looked?
Yeah, decent side. Got a reasonable start to the season. Games that I've seen, they've been very competitive. Very small squad, but it seems to work for John O'Green. He's got a lot of players that are quite adaptable, can play in different positions, and that's helped. And I think from a selection point of view, the fact that he's only got basically 16, 17 players makes it very easy. And he's able to rotate them as well, Barra. That's the crux of the matter, that you know, he can change 5 players week in, week out if he wants to do, and not appreciably weaken his side, that's his 11 that are starting. So no, I think they've looked pretty good in the games that I've seen. I've seen highlights of the games where they've played away. I saw most of the game at Chorley that they got the last minute winner or the late winner. So yeah, I think they'll be happy with the way they've gone this season up to now. I mean, big ask on Saturday, playing top of the league, and big match, all ticket, of course, down there at the Scarborough Sports Village, or Flamingo Land Stadium, as it used to be.
Well, you just touched on the stadium there, which leads us perfectly on to the next question. The fans that didn't go to the game last season, what can they expect from the ground?
Yeah, it's a nice ground. It's tight, tidy. Parking's okay. Always think that, you know, away fans get a decent welcome down at Scarborough. There's always that bit of rivalry, but seating on both sides, standing at either end, and I presume it'll be segregated on Saturday. So I would think that the Scunthorpe fans are going to be away at the left-hand end as you look at it from the main stand. Pitch itself is AstroTurf. It's got some patches in it, which always this season, when the away team have arrived, the first thing they've done is take a ball out and run the ball over the patches. But it doesn't have any detrimental effect whatsoever that I've seen. There's no bobble or anything. And Scarborough are going to have it returfed as soon as they're able to get it done. So, but no, from a pitch point of view, open to fast, decent passing football. And I think that's what will make it an excellent game on Saturday.
In the first question, you spoke about Greeno managing his squad and kind of making sure players get game time. Are there any players we should be looking out for on Saturday?
It's difficult to say which players are actually going to be out there on the pitch, but because he's going to rotate it. Obviously, they had the FA Cup game last night against Dunstan, the replay that they won 5-2. And he had a couple of lads from the reserves in, but he's got one or two guys who are coming back to fitness as well. Will Thornton, the skipper, is on the point of coming back, although I think Saturday might be a bit early for him. He's just got Bailey Gooder back from his suspension. Luca Colville was on the bench on last night, but he didn't risk him. And Lewis Maloney, I think, is just about over his problem as well. So he's going to have a full side to pick from. Harry Green is the one that stands out for me. He's a little bit of a maverick, a little bit mercurial, and he can just at any second just turn it on and really put defences under pressure. And he's quite adept at having a dip from outside the box. He's looked good this season, very good. I want to mention the two guys that from Scunthorpe as well. The other week when they played South Shields got the better of them. And I think if Scarborough have a weakness, it's probably the long ball up the middle and pace at the back. Now, how the new guy who's coming from Sheffield Wednesday, Mackenzie Maltby, has altered that, I don't know, because I only saw him for sort of 10 minutes against South Shields. But Richie Bennett, I thought, had an excellent game against South Shields. He's very, very good at holding that ball up. And really, Scarborough should have benefited from some of his layoffs and, little headers on and things against South Shields and didn't. Cam Wilson I've only seen in one game, and then he came on as a sub, but he did score last night against Dunstan, and that was a decent goal. He took that really well one-on-one with the keeper. So, if anybody, Harry Green, I mean, everybody knows, I think, Lewis Maloney anyway, the quality he has on delivering a ball from a set piece. And obviously, if he plays on Saturday, Scunthorpe are going to have to be very aware of that. But I get the impression, looking at Scunthorpe, Andy, that defensively, they're pretty sound.
One thing Scunny always talk about is this kind of belief that teams raise the game when they play us. Now, it must be a similar kind of feeling at Scarborough, because Scarborough is such a good away day. There's always like that little bit extra away fans go, and there's always that little bit something special when you go to the seaside. Is there something special about playing Scarborough?
Yeah, I think there is. There's something magical about playing teams at the seaside. And you look back at Scarborough when they were, if you go back years, and they were a non-league team. They won the FA Trophy in the days of the late Tony Aviard. Then got into the league, had a really good time in the league, but then eventually things just turned, and as teams do, they fall back out of the league and sometimes fall on hard times. But at the moment, fan-run club, and it's doing really well. It's on the up, and there's a nice atmosphere down there. It's a good, tight, compact ground. So, there will be a cracking atmosphere on Saturday. There's no two ways about it.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Andy. And I'd just like to put it on record. I was only joking at the start of the interview. And you are a man that has helped me no end and are a constant cause of inspiration for me. So thank you very much. And thanks for your time, Andy.
Yeah, it's okay. Pleasure, Andy. I'm surprised you haven't asked me for a score prediction for Saturday.
Oh, go on. Chuck one in for us then. Chuck us in a score prediction.
1-1.
1-1. I'll put that on record. I wondered where you were going with that. I thought you were going to say, I'm surprised you haven't asked me for any work. Because that's usually the line of inquiry. Right. Thanks very much for your time, Andy. And we'll touch base next week. Well, once again, I'm joined by another member of the opposition. I'm pleased to say this week I'm joined by Lias, or otherwise might be known on Twitter as Stop the Affiliates. I'm sorry there if I've just broken your cover, bud.
Incognito blown now. Oh no.
Is it a well-kept secret, or have we got the expose?
Yeah, exclusive, yeah, for you guys.
So obviously, Scarborough fan. It's been a bit of a weird few years for you guys. How are things over at Scarborough Athletic?
Well, yeah, it has been since my lifetime as a supporter. It's been very topsy-turvy, but on the up. Yeah, now it's great to be in this league, playing these teams. Who would have thought post 2007 we'd ever be playing the likes of you guys again, never alone being back in Scarborough, playing in front of our own fans. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster, yeah, as you said, but on the up. We're on the up bit at the minute, hopefully. Long may it continue.
This week you got a good win, actually. Beat Dunstan in the replay of the FA Cup 5-2. 5 goals. What are you thinking about the FA Cup this season? Good chance to progress, or is it all focused on the league?
No, yeah, after last year we had a cup run to the first round. If you remember, we beat Oxford, who aren't doing so well in our league this year. But last year they were a National League team, and then we got Forest Green in the first round, and we all know we had to play him 3 times because of an illegible player. So it's always fun. So yeah, a cup run, especially at this level, as you know yourselves, the money on offer, it just takes a nice tie, doesn't it? First round away tie against a big club, or even further, the money on offer is massive for this level, isn't it? Especially as we're a fan-owned club, that money can't be sniffed at, can it? So yeah, every penny is worthwhile. So yeah, let's hopefully next round Warrington Rylands away, 28th I think it is. So another chance. They're struggling in the NPL out there this year, so chance to get through to the 4th round, and who knows, our 4th qualifying round, who knows waits there.
Yeah, should say for our listeners, as I'm sure you're aware, not accustomed to these non-league expressions, so they're just one division below us. They're in step 3. So yeah, like you say, another opportunity for you guys to progress through. Now, last couple of seasons, you finished 13th last season and 8th the season before, just missing out on the playoffs. You currently sit in 10th. What's the expectation around Scarborough at this moment in time?
The fans, probably different to the gaffer. He wants promotion. He said pre-season, promotion, playoffs. I think for any fan, we probably just want stability, keep building on it. We've probably got the best squad we've ever had when you look at it on paper, but it's still really small. So yeah, if we can sneak in around those playoffs, then that's going to be a really fantastic season for us, I would say.
And what's the fans' view on the manager, as you say, on Jono?
Legend. Needs a statue if you ask any fan. He's from Scarborough and he got us into the National League North. He can do no wrong. Well, when he first started, remember, we didn't have the greatest start in the Northern Premier League under Jono, and there's still jokes every week of Jono out. But at the time, people were calling for his head, but let's look what he's done now. So yeah, every week someone shouts Jono out at him and he just smiles and waves at him. So yeah, it's a running joke now, but yeah, everyone loves him, what he's done for the club.
And I'd say one thing I wanted to press you on. I know you watch Gareth's vlogs, you listen to the podcast almost weekly. What do other fans think of Scunthorpe United? Like, do people think we're a bit too big for our boots, or is it taken in good jest? Like, how?
No, it's a bit of jest. I think last year some of our fans probably came across as we are going to walk this league, tin pot league, maybe underestimated it slightly, and probably half the teams had never heard of or didn't even know where they were. So some. Obviously, you can't tie everyone with the same brush, but some of your fans, if it was done in jest or not, were kind of mocking it a little bit. And then when you didn't go up, it's kind of look what you sow almost, yeah. So, and then, but yeah, you're a big club for this league, aren't you? Let's be honest. Look at the fan base you've got. You fill every away end there enough. Every club you play, it's their biggest attendance all season, just because of the pure numbers you bring. So, you shouldn't really be in this league, should you? But you are, and yeah, let's see what Saturday brings.
Thanks very much. Well, we heard from 2 guests there, Max. First off, Andy Atkinson, and then Scarborough fan Lias. What did you make of what Andy had to say there about Scarborough?
Two spies in the camp. I thought that was very good. We started off with one. You've spoiled us. I thought it was a really good interview with Andy. He's a bit too funny to be a friend of yours, though. So I'm not 100% sure where that's come from. I thought it was really interesting when he talked about how sort of Scarborough managing their rotation as well, in terms of, a couple of potential injuries, and how Jonathan Greening, who obviously had a very, very good career, now their manager, having previously played for Manchester United, West Brom. But look, we saw how Scarborough played last season. I think it links to what Marco said. If I was a Scarborough fan and I saw Whitehall out for Scunthorpe, that'd get a big thumbs up from me. And we'll see. We'll see if Richie Bennett gets to be the pantomime villain that I think everybody. Yeah, Marco's already shaking his head. He knows what's coming.
I think it was interesting, Marco, listening to his thoughts on the two ex-Iron players. And actually, it was probably quite predictable what he had to say about Cam Wilson, not really hit it off, and then, pops up and scores a goal. Richie Bennett, for all the waves he was making in pre-season, I think he's only got one league goal this season. So does it weigh heavy on you that he might score at the weekend?
Yeah, I think he's been saving it. Let's be honest. I think we're on about Whitehall's fitness. Bennett will be on top form on Saturday. And look, we knew Bennett's qualities when he was at Scunthorpe. We're not in denial. We know he's had a great career in the lower leagues. He has scored lots of goals before he came to Scunthorpe. But if you said he had a good time at Scunthorpe, you'd be lying. And we know what we saw, and it wasn't what we needed. Don't get me wrong, we know there's a striker there, and like we said, sod's law, he's absolutely going to score on Saturday. Let's hope he doesn't. But yeah, with Wilson, like you mentioned, he comes from nothing, can get a goal. At one point, you'd say Wilson was probably one of our most important players in the squad. And there was contract talks with him and stuff, and rumours that he didn't sign it, and we wanted him to stay at the club. But look, there's a player there. He's still young. So to have them sort of players at that level, especially at your disposal for Scarborough, I think it's a really good signing for him, positive signing.
One thing, Max, that Andy touched on there as we spoke to him was actually the pitch doesn't look in great condition and there's a couple of patches on it. Again, I think it was picked up in Andy Butler's interview today that the club put out. And it was just so interesting to hear that every team that rocks up to Scarborough just spends 10 minutes running the ball up and down the pitch to see how it reacts to the surface. I mean, that's got to come into play, hasn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah, it does. And I think it slightly reinforces the point that Marco made earlier in terms of Whitehall. If Whitehall is 70 or 80% fit, then I think the condition of the pitch makes it even more imperative that he's going to start. If you're worried that slick, sharp passing, which we have seen in parts of this season, but not as much as perhaps we did get last season, because we're set up to play a slightly different style of football, then Whitehall in and out of possession becomes even more important. You think of players like Bennett for Scarborough who are going to provide an area of threat. Somebody like Whitehall becomes even more important. And I think it does make it more likely that he starts, because if you're saying tactically, without him in your side, you're probably going to have to push Roberts further forward. You are going to have to try and play more in between the lines, more looking for overlapping runs, looking for through balls for the wing backs to get further forward. But you're looking at the surface and you're thinking, really don't fancy our chances of successfully pulling that off. Well, then you've got to make the best of what you get. Sometimes if you get lemons, you try and make lemonade. So we'll see. I could see it being a tough afternoon, to be honest with you.
Marco, in light of what we've just learned there from Andy about Scarborough possibly being a bit susceptible to balls over the top, and that coupled with the fact that Whitehall is 50-50, I'm going to put it out there early doors. I think Fishburn might start on Saturday,
Yeah, look, he's had a couple of off games. It's easy to say, look, there's a lot of pressure on those guys who started away at Newcastle. This is your one game. You've got to impress. If you don't, that's it. They've literally had one chance, and Fishburn wasn't the only player who didn't possibly play up to the level he could. Look, to just label him as like, right, you're not that number 9 anymore, would be extremely harsh. So I'm all for giving it another go. I did think it's a shame that Carlton's maybe he's not going to make it, because I think those balls in behind, we know he's got unbelievable pace. So it'd have been nice to see some balls going over top to him. But like you said, look, like we say, if Whitehall's anywhere near 80, 70, 80, 90% fit, I'd like to see him. But if needs must, we've signed Fishburne to play and score goals. He's got to have a go. So, like I say, I'd have no qualms with Fishburne starting.
No, just coming back to what Andy Butler said in that interview that I alluded to earlier, Carlton is a definite no-no for the weekend out with a groin issue, which is likely to see him out for a few weeks. He's going for scans and stuff. So it doesn't sound great, but what can you do? Right, I'm going to press you both for a score prediction then. Max, hit me up first. What do you think ahead of the game against Scarborough?
I think it's going to be a repeat of last season. I think it's going to finish 0-0.
Jesus.
Particularly if Whitehall doesn't start or is 70% fit, goes off after an hour, pitch isn't great, you're away from home, sell me an alternative, fellas.
I'm going 0-0.
Yes. Honestly, we haven't lined that up, but that goes to show that you're getting two honest answers, because Andy's already now very pissed off.
I've never seen us score against that goalie, Ryan Whiteley.
Yeah.
He just turns into Buffon when he plays against Scunthorpe.
And we don't have a great record at Scarborough. I can remember being stood behind that goal last season, and sort of my dad's old enough to have gone to Scarborough, particularly in the 90s, and he just turned around to me at full time and went, "I think I've been here 6 fucking times and we haven't scored."
I was speaking to Lias about Whiteley, and he says he's a great keeper, but he's a real good shot stopper. But it's just his distribution, which is why he's at this level. And I just thought, Rory Watson. Literally, I said most keepers seem to be quite prevalent in these leagues where they're not the complete article, but on a goalkeeping basis, shot stopping, the basics, which I'm a big fan of. I think he's a cracking keeper. York must have a lot of confidence in Watson, and I think they had who did we have? Very Stockdale. They had Stockdale at the time.
It's really mad what's happening at York at the minute. I'm just scrambling to check on my phone the other keeper's name, but this season they've alternated between the two keepers. I think Watson's played 2 games so far. He didn't play the last game, but I think he played like 1 before or 2 before. Andy kept a clean sheet and then got dropped for the next game. It's mad. It's like working. Yeah, they've got 2 decent keepers.
Is Paolo Di Canio now the York manager? Is that what you're telling me?
League One, Wes?
National League, Rory.
By the way, if anyone hasn't seen Di Canio going off about Wes Foderingham, that is the greatest clip in the history.
League One.
And in many ways, actually, Simon Caddis, who was a midfielder for Swindon at the time, like his impressions of Di Canio on particularly on Under the Cosh, the podcast with John Parkin and Chris Brown, just terrific. League One, where's? Or the story about how he then chased Leon Clark around the entire ground, including all the Southampton fans.
I wish he'd caught him. I really wish he'd caught him.
£300,000 a year. We pay Leon Clark. All the players sat there going, "He's on £6,000 a week."
Yeah.
I'm still paying my subs.
Oh mate, he was mental, wasn't he, as a manager? Absolutely mental. Just coming back to York, so Harrison Mayle has played seven games in goal for them this season. Rory Watts has played 2. And they're random. They're just...
That's not alternative. Barry, you got a hopes up.
Yeah, well, he's played 2 randomly inserted.
If Marco had made an insertion like that and couldn't back it up with his stats, you'd be 2-footing him in at the knees.
What's that? Yeah, but you say that, but he's played 22, 23% of the games so far this season? That is alternating, isn't it? All right, the sample pool isn't great.
I mean, if we're going by that logic, what percent of games has Mason played? Now he's played 2 games for Scunthorpe.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Did you see you put out
that's great rebuttal, Marco. That's terrific.
Have I just been outwitted by Marco Pully?
I feel like Joe Biden. It's like a debate, and I've just got something right.
The 4 stars across his chest have inspired him. He's seen your single shitty invisible star and thought, I can do it.
I'm coming for you.
So you both go 0-0. I am known for my negative predictions, but I'm going to go 1-0 Iron on Saturday.
Oh.
Not a clue. It was probably Ross Barrows or something mental like
He's
that.
on form.
Yeah. Do you know what? Dents. Tyler Denton, Max's favourite. He's going to bag.
Yeah.
Thought he played all right on Tuesday.
Jesus. What is happening?
Whoa.
Is that a compliment?
It was a night when the wing backs getting forward was useful. And
I think I've switched with Max because I quite like Kelly now.
I'm not saying I like Denton. I'm just saying I thought he played well on Tuesday. Look, I said it before, and I will say it again. I don't get the modern obsession that every fullback, even in the 6th tier, has to be bloody amazing going forward.
You're doing our new formation. I think it's really important of a good going.
Yeah,
forward.
Wing backs, particularly against the side who come to Glanford Park and sit deeper and sit narrow, they do become important. But like, not every 6th tier wing back / fullback is going to be John Arnorisa or Kyle Walker. Like these are rare players at an elite world class level.
Yeah.
Just coming back to formations, because we have seen a little bits and bats formulated this season. What do you think we look the best at? Because I have to be completely honest, there's been times this season when we've looked really resolute, we've looked solid, and we've actually got a bit of stick off like South Shields manager, the way we've played. But to say we are top of the league, and I know this is pretty negative, Marco, but there's been a couple of poor games in there.
100%. Like bringing back,
and that's the risk, isn't it? When you play that system, you are.
Of course it is. But look, Tamworth got promoted by playing that way, and if it takes a year of being absolute shithouses before we go on to play this nice, attractive football, then so be it. Look, if it's winning games, I don't care how we're playing. Look what we've been through for the last God knows how many years. It's all right playing nice football, but you don't get trophies playing nice football. I'm happy for us in that back 5. It's solid. That's where we look at most solid. I know it's not the most glamorous. We're not scoring the most goals. But I think Tuesday was a really good opportunity to try that new system of Roberts up front. It's sort of a false 9. And it's good to know that's something else that we've got in our locker, in our artillery. So, look, I didn't think I'd say this at the start of the season, but I do think the back 5 suits us because of the Dentons and your Kellys, and Barrows has looked really good going forward. So, I like the 5, but I don't care what the other teams think. We can bore them to death.
No, I probably agree with you, but I would also echo what you say that it is a 5 because Butler has, been pretty eager to stress quite often this season that it's not a 5, it's a 3.
No, and they've played like that. Yeah, they have played like that. Like, the amount of times, I can't think.
Some of the games they've played like that. I don't think they've played like that in all.
No, not all the time. I mean, Curzon Ashton, it was a 5. I mean, if you're in denial if you think it isn't, it was just
it was a 5.
But then come back to the last game at Glanford Park, bar in Newcastle. I can't think who it was.
Warrington.
Who was it? Sorry,
Warrington.
Yes, I mean, your wing backs that game played as wingers. They were just out and out wingers. They did very little defending. Obviously, it was to no avail, but they were very far forward, and I can agree it was a 3 at that time. But yeah, look, it's horses for courses. If you're under the cosh, it turns into a back 5, and that's no secret.
Right, we'll move on to our next segment. Then we've got the hero, idiot, and moment of the week. So, kick us off then, Marco. Who's your hero of the week?
My hero is one, not really for me, but it's sort of my dad's era. So those Italian 90 moments, obviously it's regarded as probably the best tournament. It's quite fitting. I'm wearing my Italy shirt. But it's Toto Schiavacci. He died 59 years old. Died this week. Was the top scorer in Italian 90 and known for his death stare. An Italian legend. My dad tells me stories about him. Obviously, a little bit before my time, but an Italian great nevertheless. I know there's plenty of him, but he's very highly regarded. So it's the passing of Toto Schiavacci at 59.
Pretty iconic as well with his celebration. It's a good answer. Max, who's your hero of the week?
Sorry, just on Marco's point. It's very interesting that Italia 90 usually gets voted as one of the greatest, if not the greatest tournaments. If you actually look at the number of goals per game, it's almost nowhere near as the modern tournaments. But there was a great vibe. The weather was good. Who doesn't like Pavarotti?
I tell you what, on that, has anyone seen the documentary One Night in Turin?
It's a tearjerker, literally.
Yeah, it's incredible. So it like covers it really captures the mood of like what's going on in the UK at the time with like the political changes, and I know we hate talking about politics, but like it was of the time, the political changes, all the shit Robson was getting, and oh mate, honestly, if anyone gets an hour and 20, you should seriously watch One Night in Turin. It's incredible stuff.
I don't think I would ever totally forgive Schillaci for breaking Irish hearts in the quarterfinal. You know, their greatest World Cup run ever. But yeah, an iconic player. A great answer from Marco, that, to be fair.
Max, I've already asked you. I won't ask you again.
And Marco was walked off in disgust. Not quite a World Cup, a bit of a downset to the FA Cup second qualifying round replay. My hero of the week is the 16 Newcastle Town fans who made the trip up to Scunthorpe at a couple of days' notice. It's 2.5 hours of the drive, which if you're an 8th tier club, no small thing at all. The particular shout out to the 2 of the 16 who decided to go behind the goal on their own and left the other 14 to sit down the side. But there was a great moment at full time, which I managed to capture a little bit of on Gareth's vlog, where they all still came over to right next to the away tunnel and were shaking hands and thanking everybody. A really great effort from them. So yeah, my hero of the week would be the 16 Newcastle Town fans, because I think we know what it's like when we're the smaller club, when you're going up against bigger clubs, bigger resources, bigger fan bases, and yeah, massive props to them.
I like to think someone at Scunny had made those 2 fans sit behind the goal. But if we pay for the stewards, somebody will sit there.
You bought your ticket behind the goal. You can't sit down the side. I don't give a shit what you think.
Right then, Max, I'll stick with you. What was your moment of the week?
Who won?
I'm going to tell you at the end.
New format.
Listen. You know how I do.
You're just gonna stand up and go, right, Marco's won 3-0, fuck off.
Maybe. Vibes.
So you want my moment of the week?
Yes, please, sir.
Right. Anybody who hasn't seen this picture, mate, you've got to go and see it. I'm hoping Gareth will do a bit of tech wizardry and maybe put it up either after this bit or at the end. Marco's shaking his head because he knows what's coming.
Do you know what's even worse? I know we talked about this before podcast. What you're about to bet? I think I've got a doll of it downstairs.
Go and get it.
Genuinely think I've got one, but if I do, it will be on our social. But I'm quite sure.
Mate, I can stall for a couple of minutes and just talk shit while you go and find this doll.
Why break the habit of a lifetime?
Mate, exactly. Got to play to your strengths. Go
for it.
Right, the Cagliari mascot. It turns out is a flamingo called Pully. Pully. And when I
say, it's ironic, given what it looks like,
and my surname.
But when we say flamingo, if you see the photo from the back, look, you all know what it looks like, and it's something that you would give a bit of Pully action if you were feeling lonely.
Oh dear me, Jesus!
Oh God, what?
Gee whizzicles.
See,
Marco.
Barra was attacking me and Marco beforehand for being too boring. He wanted more funny, bit of comedy, you know.
Jesus, I didn't want anyone to register.
What's in Peter Cage? He's blue, kids. He's blue. And you know, it's when you see mascots in those kind of situations, like a fish out of the water. It's bad enough when they're doing the minute silence. But there was a great photo of all the Cagliari players. They've just been beaten 5-0 by, who was it, Marco?
4-0.
Oh, the post I read was wrong. I'm sorry. Who did you get beat 4-0 by?
Napoli, who were very good, in all fairness.
And the ultras behind the Cagliari goal, quite literally, the consigliere with the microphone, giving them dog's abuse. And for whatever reason, the mascot decided to come out and stand next to them as if look, we've all let ourselves down, boys. I've got to take the cop too. Honestly, just football sometimes from one extreme to the other. I mean, it's not the West Brom boiler, but it's close.
You know what? On that Mascot's Minute Silence, there's a Twitter page called Mascot's Minute Silence, and it has pictures of like ridiculous, like Gunnosaurus there, just
the best one. Yeah, the best one is it that patch thistle, which is like a star with a really
yeah.
That is my favourite one.
The one that looks like it was like Lisa Simpson on LSD.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a really good one. Let's look at this, guys. So what we've got here, if you can make that out,
it's Honey Bunny.
We've got Sam Beadle from the club. I think one a sponsor observing the minute silence on Remembrance Day. And then you've just got Scunny Bunny and the Honey Bunny there with the great big smiles observing the minute silence.
Mate, honestly.
Oh, God.
It's just incredible.
The thing is, they are powerless. Like, they have to be there, but then they just look so out of place.
Yeah, that's the thing. The one that always makes me laugh, because it was like a special mascot to do with their sponsors, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
That boiler that West Brom had, like, not even the birds, it just looked ridiculous. Less than ideal, you might say. Oh, you like that joke?
Jesus. I mean, how much money do you think they're getting for that? Like, is it worth the bad PR?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, look, all PR is good PR if you're a boiler firm from West Bromwich.
To be fair, this is Pully's first season as our mascot. We didn't actually have a mascot before this. So he's had a rough first year, so just show some respect for Pully, guys. Yeah.
So I've just found another one. I know we don't like to mention them, but have you seen the Grimsby Town one? Look at Mighty Mariner.
Yeah, Harry the Haddock, yeah. Again, something fishy about that situation.
Oh, God.
The Mighty Mariner just like a great big smile on his face.
So, Marco, also, why is the mascot a flamingo? Do you actually get flamingos like native in the wild?
Yeah, so in Sardinia, they are called fenacori, but they're flamingos.
And you do actually get them in the wild?
Yeah, we've got loads of salt lakes near the actual sea. So because of the density of the salt, that's where all the flamingos go. There's thousands of them. So they are like a native thing to Sardinia.
You learn something new every day.
There you go.
Remember when Becky?
I was in Torquay this weekend, and I could have choked a seagull out. I could have choked the parking attendant out as well. Give me a ticket for being in an actual bay. I'd bought my ticket, but the bays, they were like worn down a bit, but they all were. So I just assumed I'm in one as well. I said, no, it's not on that bay, but I'm fighting it. So
that's just good lad. Good lad. Yeah. Bring on Torbay Council. Let's have him.
If anyone's watching, wants to tag him, you can.
So,
are you like now Joe Lycett?
Yes. So why wasn't this Dago vested parking attendant your idiot of the week?
It might be. We don't know yet, do we?
He was, but I'm going to go easy on him just in case he's watching and don't turn it over.
Right.
If you win the appeal next week, it's your hero of the week.
Absolute hero on a buy a beer. When we next play Torquay, when we both get promoted.
It's a strong answer from Max. Marco, what's your moment of the week?
Moment of the week, I am just going in on Man City. So it's for Charges week. Everyone knows there's no secret about that. I hate it. I hate everything we're about. And then the Champions League last night, may as well. The definition of being played in a library is an understatement. I know Schmeichel mentioned it, saying like it was just dead. And like, look, I know there's a lot of tourism at Man City, but there's no excuse. Like, it was just silence, and like, there's no wonder it was 0-0 because I couldn't get motivated playing for. Well, if they
that's at least partly to do with the new ridiculous format of the Champions League. Like,
no, it's been terrible a long time. Man City's atmosphere has been dead for a long time.
I don't think the new format helps because it makes more of the games meaningless. Like, you're not playing them home and away. It's a total effing lottery.
I think it actually suits the Italian teams because they will go to those bigger places for draws.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're going to get worse football. We've got 3 nights and more teams in the Champions League. You look at the Champions League quality has been so poor already the last couple of days. Even Celtic won. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, but it's Bratislava. If Bratislava were playing in your back garden, you'd shut your curtains. If the format stops Man City winning stuff, I'm all for it.
I agree, but I am with Max. That league is mental. I was looking at the league.
It's new, but let's be honest, we've caved in. I think we've caved in due to the pressure of the Super League.
100%. That's correct. 100%.
I was looking at the league table earlier at work, and I needed 2 desktops just to look at the full table. Absolutely insane.
To be fair, it's quite interesting because no one actually knows how many points you're going to need. like Celtic getting 3 points is great, but how many points are they going to need to get? It'll be interesting. Like Max says, not everyone's going to agree, and I can totally understand that. Similar to what's been announced tonight by the Conference League, with that shit show.
That's just insane. What we need? Do you know what we need? More football, guys.
Yeah,
I've clearly missed this. What have the Conference League announced?
Right, so it's a 32 team competition, 16. So not the full 24, 16 National League teams and 16 Premier League 2 teams, which is predominantly made up of Wolves under 21s.
Oh, hang on, sorry. I thought Marcus said the Conference League. I thought you meant as in the UEFA competition.
No, as in the conference.
The National League.
Yeah.
It's just insane. So there's 4 teams of 8.
Yeah.
And the top 2 teams go through to, what would that be? The
quarterfinals. 4 teams of 8. 32 aside. That's what I want to see.
But a few teams in the National League have actually pulled out.
What, of those 16, or you mean of the 24?
I'm sure I read that York had pulled out, possibly Southend, that we won't be taking part in it.
Do you know what's mad? Right? I was looking at Tamworth have signed up for it. Surely they don't want more games.
Absolutely mental.
They made a
start season. I don't know.
But Tamworth want the money. They'll want the game at home to Aston Villa reserves. They'll get 3,000 Villa fans who live around the corner, and it'll pay their wages for a month.
True enough. Right, I'm going to tell you right now, it's 1 point each going into the final round.
That's
hero of the week.
That bloody rubbish.
And Max won the moment of the week with a mascot. So it's all to play for the idiot of the week. Hit me up there, Marco. Who's your idiot of the week?
Continuing my hatred of Man City.
You have got a chip on your shoulder.
I just don't like cheese. I'm going to go...
Whoa, sorry, wasn't Tonali your hero of the week last week?
Yeah, he hadn't cheated.
Right.
A lot of rules, mate.
Right.
He hasn't done anything...
Baron, so what Marco said was opt coming out of the mouth of an Italian, but Tonali's gambling addiction was not the fucking angle to take, mate.
Well, look, I just hate him. Right, so Rodri is mine because of him now threatening to go on strike because of the too many games. And look, I'll hold a balanced argument here. The new FIFA World Cup Club Cup thing at the end, it is too much, and it's just unnecessary, and it's just a way of grabbing more money. I don't agree with that. But for him to say the only option for us is going on strike, or we're going to have to do this, no, absolutely not. Look, you chose to play in that Man City team. You know they're going to go far in tournaments. You're going to play these second legs, and I just don't understand. It was the same with your Klopps, your Peps, all these overseas managers coming and not liking the English game, which your second fixtures. Like, look at what we played with Newcastle on Tuesday. That wouldn't have happened if they get their way. And they know what they're coming into, but insist on trying to change the way that we play our games. And I really hate it. And look, Rodri's getting no sympathy off me. And if players start striking, I think we're running a really, really fine line of where to go.
So there's a bit of balance there, isn't there? I think you are right that the football calendar at this moment in time is buggered. Like there is too much football, but there's also a lot of greed. Like you know, literally increasing the number of Champions League games this year. FIFA at the very top, having the Club World Cup. Talk about the Super League and that they were going to somehow combine that on top of the domestic National League competitions in the respective countries. that is buggered, and it's completely knackered. But also, man, you know, don't get me wrong, I like a threat of industrial action as much as anybody, but you know, Man City have got 3 world-class players in every position.
Yeah, exactly. And the difference is between an average Joe wanting a better wage or industrial. When you compare that to Rodri, who's on what, 200 plus a week?
Yeah, exactly.
Not for me. If you're tired, tell your manager and he'll get it.
Like even Gareth, as a train driver, is only just making as much as Rodri.
just 10 grand a month could help him.
Right, Max, who's your idiot of the week?
Well, I think Marco's gonna win the points, to be honest, because I know that he's not every cup of tea. He's not everybody's cup of tea. But my idiot of the week is the Birmingham City fans who are giving James McLean absolute dog's abuse. He's never done anything against Birmingham. They fundamentally don't like him and don't like who he stands for. And the fact that he's Irish, the fact that he's Catholic, the fact that he's a Republican, the fact that he's not a fan of the British monarchy. And people like to talk about freedom of speech, but they don't often mean it for people whose views they don't agree with. If you replaced any of those views or any of those like religious and political backgrounds for James McLean with him being of other ethnic origins, people would back away, and understandably so. And, you know, Birmingham fans are not the nicest fan base in the world, I think.
Oh, no.
Controversially.
We've just lost our Birmingham listener.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're all trading on the fact that they were in the Zulus in the 80s and, you know, well, we had Barry Fry. Yeah, that's bollocks.
To be fair, yeah, I saw a post on Twitter saying, I just hope both teams lose. And I think that was really, really apt.
Yeah. And look, you know, this is not me saying that Wrexham, because that's who McLean's playing for now, are amazing, or that, you know, all the absolute ridiculous loving that, Tom Brady's here and Rob McElhenney's here and David Beckham's here. I don't give a toss about that. I'd rather Barry Fry be there. But too many fans think they can give dog's abuse to a player who's done nothing wrong against them, nothing for a club. It's not as if he was a Villa legend, is it? And I think players in that situation have got every right to be able to give a bit of stick back. So massive props to James McLean for standing up for what he believes in. Because when people talk about the poppy and, you know, fighting in World War II, those people, those soldiers went and died for his right to be able to tell you that you're talking out your arse. So, yeah, my idiot of the week, the Birmingham fans giving him a lot of abuse. And Barra's fallen asleep as well.
No, but Marco gets the points.
I am on fire.
I think Ian Paisley there with his England shirt on.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Good reference that 4 people are going to get.
2 of them are sitting of this 3.
Would you rather be senior or junior? I'll let you pick.
That was good. Right, we move on now to Marco's section, the FPL. Can you give us an update?
Oh, so this week was quite controversial and also nearly ended my relationship because I was walking up and down the hotel room in Torquay thinking, is Haaland going to play? So obviously he had the unfortunate week of losing a close family friend who I know a lot of his family respected and was quite close. On a more selfish point, on fantasy football, it said there's a 75% chance of him playing.
Did you risk it?
Well, come on. If I know Pep is an arsehole, he'll drop him. But I stuck with Haaland captain. I talked myself in and out of it 4 or 5 times. And so I had moved Watkins to Vice just in case he didn't play because it's not worth getting rid of Haaland anyway. And luckily it paid dividends and Haaland scored 2, which is almost inevitable nowadays. And I've got myself near enough in the top 100. Becky Barra got the most points out of anyone on our podcast this week. Out of nowhere. But regarding the whole league, we've still got, apologies for my pronunciation because I'm sure I'll get it wrong. It is Aliou Kassa, who is still top, but only by 6 points.
I don't know if he's a Scunny fan.
Have you never met Ali?
Never met Ali.
Ali?
Ali. Who is Ali?
Well,
Ali.
if you are listening, come and introduce yourself to us as Scarborough. We'll give you a shout out on the next.
We've got the Newbury All Stars, which is Ryan Newbury. It's made a big move up to second now on 301. But again, to say obviously Harman got 2 and Watkins got 2, it wasn't a huge week for points. Your top sort of points getters were Barrow was up there. I think we had somebody on 84, which is probably the most this year.
Yeah, that was me. I got 8.
Yeah, of this week, that is one of your most. I mean, you had Vardy got you 8. The what? Explain your. Oh, Nana. Who the hell has Nana? So Barrow's there on an absolute fluke. That's still all to play for. But yeah, it's good. Again, thank you to everybody who's in. We're sitting on well over 264 members now. So yeah, just keep, and it's all changed at the bottom now. We've got Sean Marshall has gone bottom. Jacob Haber's gone to second bottom. And Callum Brickcliffe has got moved up 2 places, and he's been on the bottom since week 1. So well done to Callum. I know he's a good listener. But yeah, that's FPL.
As opposed to a bad listener.
No, you want to get good listeners for this podcast. But yeah, it's Man City Arsenal this weekend, so a lot of players are going to be playing against other people's players. So probably going to be a low scoring week again. But knowing Pep, he'll destroy the game, sticks for another 0-0.
Right, and on that cheery note, just remember we have the charity game on the 12th of October, raising money for the ward at Sheffield Children's Hospital. Right, thanks for tuning in once again. We've been, as usual, the Iron Hour podcast.